This is the Seahawkers podcast, live and uncatfished. I'm Brandon Schultz, and I am joined by my good buddy on a Seahawks game day throwback win. How you doing, Adam?
Dude, this is not just a victory cigar. This is a first place in the freaking division cigar. What an awesome day, man. If you're a Seahawks fan and you're not fired up after today with the throwbacks, the big win, the Niners, just shit in the bed yet again, Brock Purdy becoming a pumpkin. I don't know what else to tell you, man. It's a perfect day.
Hey,
shorter than it's cold out here. I can see my breath.
Well, there you go. No, that's just the smoke. From
it's not. It's not. I wish it were.
The Seahawks got the win. All those good things happening. It was a little bit iffy. It was a butt clinching victory, if you want to refer to it that way. I just did. We've got the snail coming in, member for 13 months out here on YouTube. One of our first YouTube members. Are we 6-2 now that we beat the Browns and the refs? I don't want to get to the refs just yet, Adam, but we are 5-2 and we are atop of the NFC West.
Yes, we are by a half a game. That's super fun. It was also super fun to watch the Rams get mollywomped earlier today. And then the Cardinals go down as well, but whatever to that, we don't really care. But man, what a stressful, fun, interesting game that we just watched. We watched the offense come out on fire and the defense just hang in there all day.
I don't know why you were stressed, though. We had our official member of the flock representative, Carly Perkins, there at the game.
True.
She never loses. Second time I've been to the game. First time I've been to a game we won. Oh, no, I guess this is we're undefeated in the throwbacks with Carly there, which I knew.
Right.
And holy catfish, does this feel good, especially when my favorite player had such a great game. It ended up being so close. And we got a false start. And if you don't know, and thank you, Carly, for the 1999 super chat. If you don't know who Carly's favorite player is, it is Tyler freaking Lockett.
Tyler Lockett with the huge first quarter and first half of the game. He was everywhere. They couldn't cover him. Geno was finding him when he was scrambling around. And the offense looked like it should have. I mean, K9 was rushing the ball well early. And it felt like early that this might be like a 3-score win. And that was exciting. And then the Seahawks proceeded to not play offense for the next 2-3 quarters. So let the Browns back in. The refs were a factor. After the last play of the touchdown drive to win the game, not sure I'm here to bitch about the refs at this point, but
right.
It was a rough game that way. But overall, this was a gritty win. And I think these are super important for teams going forward throughout the season to know that you can get it done in crunch time when you're facing a lot of adversity and the number one defense in the league in the Browns. That's a big gutty win, and a big gutty win for Geno too.
Yeah, Geno getting the stat, another fourth quarter comeback victory. We've got our executive producer, Ryan 911, screen pass touchdown for the win, just like we all expected. What a game.
Yeah, I was just thinking, if you're the Browns, man, you lived off of the screen throughout the entire game, and then you died by it right at the very end. That's got to be super frustrating. But it was difficult as a Seahawks fan throughout the game, watching the defense get just kind of jellied in the run game. Nothing huge, but those consistent 3 and 4 yard chunks to keep them in third and manageable, and then to get screened to death. Man, that middle screen where they leak Njoku out, that was deadly. We had no answers for that all day, and thank God they went away from it.
Yeah, thank goodness. Ryan with a $9.99 super chat. Hugh Lloyd, 5 pounds, light up that victory cigar. So good when the defense comes through. And then Geno takes them down the field for the win. Hopefully silences some of the doubters. I don't know, Hugh, if it will silence doubters because there were 2 interceptions in this game. There was an awfully close interception in the game. And yeah, but he ends up getting the win. I didn't think this game was necessarily a Geno problem. It was an offense struggling with that pass rush of the Browns. They had the plan that they were going to drop back, get rid of it quick, not hold the ball a long time. And that's what they were facing throughout the day. And so if Geno was just off ever so slightly, or they drop an interior D lineman back into coverage and makes a super athletic play, those are things that can happen when your offense, when you're trying to be on time that way.
It is. It's that particular interception, I don't fault Geno for. That's more a great play made by a defensive lineman there, and a good call by Schwartz as well to have him drop out and fill that zone. Just unexpected and a really athletic play by the D lineman. Now the pick to DK, that one, that ball just, it can't be thrown. It just can't be thrown. It was too late and it was undercut. And Geno had his ups and downs today. He dirted a ball to DK that would have made it a more manageable third down late in the game. But when it mattered, he came out and was firing on all cylinders and didn't let it get him down. And that's when I sit here and defend Geno all the time. Like, I'm not saying that he makes every throw perfectly all the time. I'm not saying he's Patrick Mahomes. I'm not saying that he's Josh Allen. Okay.
Yeah.
He's just a winning quarterback that plays very well in this system and occasionally has some bad mistakes. It happens. I mean, I watched the Eagles struggle today against a Commanders team. Like, good teams and good quarterbacks, they do struggle at times. It happens.
Yeah.
Now, can you overcome it? And Geno did.
The Chiefs only put up 6 points today against the Denver Broncos.
Yeah.
So there you go. Jay Smith with the $20 super chat, celebrating the awesome Hakra of Carr and Benny the Giraffe, as well as being first in the division. Catfish the Niners, catfish the Lambs, catfish the Cardinals, and go Hawks.
Oh, go Hawks, man. And what a cool day, man. What's Jacob got? To all the Fairweather Seahawks fans and Geno haters, do better. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting to watch the psyche of the fans throughout the game in just the Discord, right? And it's hard to stay positive at times when the offense goes out there and stinks it up for the better part of the second half. It can be frustrating. Now, one of the things that I take away from this is that the defense is legit and real. I mean, they did pretty much everything in their power to keep this team in the game throughout the game. And just you felt like if the Browns were doing anything traditional in the passing game, that it was going to be a sack almost every time. The pass rush was just on fire today.
And that was, I guess, credit to the Browns in that regard, because they had probably as good of a game as you're going to get from PJ Walker. And they worked that offense around what he's good at. They even added in the dynamic of him keeping the ball a little bit and running the ball. I think he had nearly 30 yards. Yeah, 27 yards for PJ Walker rushing, which is probably his high for the entire season. And then they spread the ball around with their running backs. They were picking up third downs pretty effectively. It was, again, not the greatest day on third downs because they were still 6 of 15 for the that Browns offense, but they got them in critical moments, and they also were able to capitalize when the Seahawks made some penalties, or were perceived to have made penalties.
I was going to say, the defense would have been much better, statistically speaking, if the refs hadn't just totally granted them that touchdown drive towards the end of the first half. I mean, that was one of the more frustrating things in the world. Some of those calls were just absolutely dog crap. They were dog crap. But it did even out in the end. So if any of you Browns fans are watching, I doubt you are, but that was a hold on DK. It was. But with that said, you guys got away with being offsides all day. You got away with all sorts of stuff all day. And then the ticky-tack penalties, like the
hands to the face is the neck is the face, I guess, when it's hands to the face. Mm-hmm. Two calls on the defense.
Yeah. I know when I want somebody to punch me in the face, it's definitely right in the neck. Like I equivocate those two things. I mean, it's just the refs had a rough go. They had a rough go last week. It just caught up to us today, but they were able to improvise, adapt, and overcome. And that's the important part here. About the only frustration I have with the coaching staff in this game is just abandoning the run for the better part of the second half. I think it was 13 carries for K9 and Charbonnet, and they had combined for close to 120 yards. I mean, holy smokes.
13 carries, 119 yards between the two, and the yards per carry. Yeah, that's almost at least 9 yards per carry the entire day. And why they went away from it, I don't know. It was that drive, the second to last drive before the touchdown, where they got down close and Charbonnet was running the ball like crazy. And then they went away from it. Will Dissly got the penalty. It backed him up. And I would have been happy with them even on, it would have been what, 2nd and 10, I think, still continuing to hammer the rock because it had been so effective with Charbonnet. Aaron F coming in with a $4.99 super chat. First place, go Hawks. Go Hawks to Aaron. Scott Campbell Photography, $7.99 Australian. Have to shout out another week and another makeshift offensive line. They did a great job. Overall, once they get healthy, look out. And to me, this, Scott, is the story of the game. Myles Garrett, one sack when Geno held the ball a little bit too long, made a great move on, they still doubled him, but he made an inside move on cross. They got pressure from the outside. And yeah, the fact that they had a plan, whether it was offensively trying to get rid of the ball quick or trying to make sure that Myles Garrett didn't have that big of an impact on the game, it's the story of the game to me.
It has to be. I mean, Cross did a great job on Garrett for the most part all day. Coming off, they wouldn't let you forget the announcers. It was his best game ever the week before, and Cross did a good job with that. And then let's give Forsyth and Jason Peters a lot of credit there. I mean, rotating in and out throughout the game, and they really held their own out there on the edge. And I think that they left a lot on the field by not exploiting the edge. It seemed like when the backs could get out, especially on the right side, they were crushing it, man. I just really wanted to see Kadon on the edge a bit more in this game.
You had DK Metcalf with the block right at the end, and whether it was holding or not, probably borderline. But like you said, it did even borderline. Out in some of the calls.
That's a hold.
He let go at the perfect time as to not get the flag. I don't know what you're talking about there. Also, Talibai recognizing the move DK on the long catch. Bang, bang, gone. And DK Metcalf on the day had 14 targets, 5 catches, 67 yards.
Yeah, it was interesting how much they were trying to get DK involved, especially with him being banged up here still. And I'm sure Pete did say it wasn't holding, but it was. That was absolutely holding. But with that said, I'm surprised that they targeted DK as much as they did, especially with Tyler just running wild all throughout the first quarter and into the second. I'm just really surprised.
Tyler Lockett, 8 catches on 9 targets, 81 yards, had the great touchdown grab. And Garen Taylor with a $4.99 super chat saying, I was proud of DK for keeping his head on straight and not costing us in this game. And yeah, there were some moments where you wondered, but ultimately, not a problem.
Yeah. And look, it's not like people kind of conflated this DK penalty thing a little bit. Like, we start to act like it's been almost every single game that he does this. And it's like, It's been a handful of times over his career. It's too much still. Don't get me wrong. And I'm sure they're still going to be working through it. But I don't see DK as a liability. I don't see DK as a team cancer. I don't see DK as a bad fit in this offense. I think he's one of the best players on this team and a true superstar. And I just didn't understand the got to get rid of DK talk. I don't get it, because I just don't think that it's nearly as bad as some people seem to think.
Looking at some of the other stats for the day. Yeah, Kareem Hunt, Pierre Strong, Jerome Ford, who we didn't even know was going to play in this game late in the week. He picks up 37, 41 for Strong, 55 for Hunt. The run defense, probably, if there's one thing to be critical of, I would have liked to see them play run defense a little bit better. The screen game is really all that they had offensively, and still 248 yards, 15 throws. They did hit a couple nice throws downfield into zone, especially to Cooper, who had some nice catches on the sideline. But yeah, when I talk about the game plan, they really did put together the offensive game plan. And I think if you're the Browns, you were thinking that the defense would have been able to do more to affect Geno than even the 2 interceptions that he gave up.
Yeah, with our defense playing the run, they definitely were dominated up front in the middle. Like, they just got pushed back consistently 2-3 yards. It's the first time we've seen that all season. It was my biggest fear going into this season, and they've held their own. Now, this particular game, sure, they got pushed around a little bit. That's a pretty good offensive line for the Browns as well. So don't hang your head over that one either. Right. But it was probably the hardest thing in this game to watch for me personally, just because we'd grown so accustomed to them being so good against the run. Do you think that this was a result of Nwosu not being there?
I don't think it was, because it was so much up the middle, and I we saw. I thought Darrell Taylor played well against the run most of the day. There was one time
What?
where he got a little bit outside more than he
Dude,
should have.
every time they ran the QB keeper, they ran it to his side and he would crash down and he
Hall was
had
the
no
other.
awareness.
I think Hall. You might be confusing him with Hall on one of those
No,
plays. So,
no,
I,
I'm
okay,
not.
we'll go back and watch that. I don't
Okay.
think he was as bad the previous game. We've got Mr. Powder Eater, who I've never seen before in chat, saying Geno is the only liability, despite being the one that drove the Seahawks down the field for the game-winning touchdown. So, not sure what kind of liability you're talking about there, but okay.
I guess, I mean, when you're winning, that's a liability. So what a problem.
Liability to the Browns. Maybe since we haven't seen Mr. Powder Eater in chat, maybe he is a Browns fan in disguise.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I guess I'm a fan of the quarterback that leads his division right now. I'm a fan.
Me too. JC Schilling,
What
1999
up,
super
JC?
chat. Yeah, boys, my first live post game from Germany. It's past my bedtime, but I'm thankful for you guys and the little flockers. Go Hawks.
Go Hawks, man. Thanks for staying up past your bedtime, man. Executive producer JC Schilling, everybody. Yeah, man, that's commitment watching from another continent for sure, dude.
And then staying up after the game to be, to come in and hang out with us. Huge thanks.
Absolutely.
Also, a big thanks to E. Gibson. Mafe, 5th game in a row with a sack. Overall, our defense played well and kept us in the game. We went 7 drives without converting a third down at one point.
Yeah, that was tough. And big props to Mafe. He's a guy that has really just shown that he's one of the better pass rushers in the league right now. And 5 straight games in a row. Didn't they say that tied a team record, or is that the team record?
Ooh, I'll have to. I don't think I was listening to the broadcast at that point to hear for sure.
Yeah, I guess so. But Mafe's been impressive. Really, that whole D-line group has been better than I had thought going into this season. And give John Schneider and Pete all the credit there for believing in those guys, shaking it up, bringing in Jay Reed. And, Frank Clark, he was out there today, just got off the bus this week and, didn't have any big plays or anything like that. But, he was there and he was participating, and that's a big deal.
5 sacks ties the team record according to the snail. So thanks to our executive producer in the chat, or live producer with the snail. And looking down the stats, Bobby Wagner, look at that game in terms of tackles. 3 tackles, 10 assisted tackles. He was all over the place. Jordan Brooks in there with the sack, stripped the ball, ended up being a big play for the offense, helping to get that 14 points on the board early. So big day for Brooks as well.
Big day for Brooks. It was kind of a sneaky game for him, but man, he did do the strip sack, right? And get this thing kicked off and get the Seahawks up by 14 there, with the offense being able to punch it in. Just a phenomenal game from him. I started to get a little nervous when I saw Nick Ballore down on the goal line there. I was like, oh no, who's hurt? Right. And it turned out nobody, but that had me going there for a second.
Jay Smith, come on, you got to give it to Adams for his header. Yes, the interception that helped give the Seahawks the possession to lead it down the field. Jamal rushing in. I don't know why he couldn't get his other hand up, but able to header the football to Julian Love for the interception. I think I'm a soccer fan now. If that's how we can play football as well, this is going to be fun.
Well, apparently that's how we have to catch interceptions, because we can't just catch them when they're thrown dead to us, like Reek there at the end of the game. That one hurt a little bit. I didn't feel like the Browns were going to come down the field there and score, but that would have been a nice cherry on top. But we got it with the Darrell Taylor sack at the end there too, so that's pretty fun. But Jamal Adams, another impactful game. He was all around the ball. I think he finished with 5 solo tackles, 8 total, and that big header right there. What a huge moment. And walks out of another game healthy. He is a difference maker, man. The interesting thing is, to me, Brandon, is that we finally heard a little bit from Jamal after being quiet all game, but we never really heard much from Spoon today.
No, and they were using him outside. They were also using him inside. He was in defense on the final play of the game on 4th down, so he did have an impact throughout the game. I mean, the fact that you saw Love having an impact, you saw Love Spoon, and then there was another with the running back Charbonnet having such an impact late too. Oh, JSN scoring the game-winning touchdown. So all offseason guys having some sort of impact in the fourth quarter.
You betcha. Big shout out to Michael, man. I didn't realize you came all the way from Ireland, man. Jeez Louise. I can't believe that we missed you. But nice effort by you, between you and Karkar, man. And we had one other there for sure. Shoot, I'm forgetting the name, but yeah, the Hawker was strong today.
Oh,
the energy from the 12 was
the
huge.
mill that was there.
Oh yeah. No, Dave was there and with his buddy, and so that was cool too. But yeah, man, just a typical Seahawks roller coaster game all the way through. And you had to have your heart in your throat entering the fourth for sure.
USMC Hawk 12, sorry, just got here, was this JSN's breakout game. JSN, 3 catches, 36 yards, a touchdown. I don't know. I know we're waiting for the JSN breakout game. I think it's just the fact that he's worked into the offense and it's all working together. I don't know if we're going to have, at some point, maybe we'll have a JSN 100-yard, 2-touchdown game. And when that happens, I think maybe that'll be the breakout game. I don't know if I call it that yet, though.
I'm surprised with the tight ends getting as few targets as they did today that JSN didn't end up with more targets at the end of the day. And 2 of those 3 catches were screens as well. And they both ended up being successful. I don't know. He's not the jitterbug type I want to see in screens, right? Like everybody says he's so smooth. He kind of looks slow. I mean, I wonder who would win a 40, him or Bobo. I'm sure it's him, but it doesn't look like it with the way that he runs. That's for sure.
Jake Bobo getting the first touchdown on the day on a running play where he runs to the outside. And how about the athleticism for Bobo to just stop on a dime and then turn upfield to get through? I think he was booking it like he was expecting to get all the way out around the edge. He stops up short and is able to cut it upfield and gets the touchdown on the board early for Seattle.
Yeah, the vision, man. That's running back type vision right there, to be able to cut that back and then walk into the end zone. That was super cool. Just a fun day all the way around. Now, I thought the 12s were extra fired up for throwback day, man. I mean, the energy there in the stadium seemed off the hook.
It really was. I mean, you could feel it. And even though the Browns were able to come back, take the lead, you didn't feel like it took the crowd out of it necessarily. I still felt that throughout the fourth quarter, they were bringing the noise. And and then for Geno, Amy mentioning in the chat with the 199 super chat, Geno go-ahead touchdown was his
third stat.
Third stat, final minute of overtime, and passed Brady/Ryan for, I wonder if that's all time?
I doubt it. I have a feeling Tom Brady had a few more than 3 stats.
But Matt Ryan, I could maybe believe.
I guess, yeah. He was pretty anti-clutch for the most part. But, yeah, as much as some people want to get on Geno's case, like, I hope that they come out and they give him credit for what he did here at the end of the game.
I hope so. It's hard not to, especially when you consider going up against the number 1 defense in the Browns. That's not an easy task. And I think he played within the structure of the plan going into this game, because you saw him getting rid of the football early. I mentioned it off the top. I thought he played well within having that plan and then executing. And yeah, there were the one play to the outside to DK where maybe it was trying to force it. I think on a normal day where Geno is ripping the ball in there and that ball was just a little bit wobbly to DK. And I think that's what slowed it down just enough for the DB to get on there, because there's so many times where you see him rip that play out to the sidelines and it ends up being a completion.
Yeah, the ball didn't seem to be coming off his hand quite as clean as it does most days, but still worked around it. The one throw in real time when I watched it was the one that was nearly a pick that he threw to JSN. And I just thought that was inexcusable when you first watch it. But then as you go back and you see the replay, you definitely see JSN stop on the route and kind of hang him out to dry. So not everything is Geno's fault out there. Not everything is to Geno's credit out there. Like when it goes right as well. I would like people to remember that. But, with that said, watching the Browns go out there and just run the rock and keep it close. In fact, get a fourth quarter lead and try to close it out without any sort of quarterback play. I don't understand how the Seahawks can't take that and incorporate it into their playbook, because I think Geno would benefit immensely if they took a little off his plate and ran the ball a bit more.
And Clinton in the chat coming through. The thing being floated is that Geno thought it was a free play with the defender well offside. And we did see the screenshot because Pete was livid. We were all kind of wondering, what is Pete so livid about? Was there a missed hit on the quarterback? Was there an interference at some point on the field? No, it was the defensive end with his hand all the way across the line of scrimmage into the Seahawks backfield, and no call by the refs. So yeah, but again, we're not complaining about the refs because it evened out.
It did in a way, because we only really benefited from one call where they benefited from multiple, because the Seahawks won the first quarter, the refs won the second quarter, the Browns won the third quarter, and then the Seahawks won the fourth quarter. It was infuriating the second quarter to watch the refs basically just hand them a drive, and the Seahawks were in position to be off the field multiple times.
The thing that's frustrating about it is just seeing so many of the Browns games these past few weeks go that way. You're like, how is PJ Walker getting it done with this little bit of offense? And it's these moments that they're able to capitalize on. Wanted to bring up a couple tweets that I picked out following the game. John Fraley at John David Fraley saying final drive was all Geno and JSN and DK and Tyler and Fant. If we're going to knock the quarterback for some questionable throws, we also got to praise him for some late magic.
100%. He was clutch in the end, no doubt about it. I'm noticing we're coming up here close to 200 people joining us live. Be sure to hit subscribe if we've earned it, man. We appreciate it. I think the Seahawks earned it today. I mean, shoot, just hit subscribe for that epic win.
That's right, because we'll be here with more shows throughout the week, so that way you can get notified whenever we're going live, whenever there's a new show. Matty F. Brown out on Twitter or X saying, great W for the Seahawks. I know there are injuries to the offensive line. That isn't easy, but something has to change with the offense. Geno with 37 dropbacks. I think we were getting at that earlier, Adam, with going away from the run. The fact that they only had 13 runs between Walker and Charbonnet, and maybe that was an issue with Walker being out, having some injuries throughout the week. He wasn't on the injury report, but maybe they're just trying to keep him healthy. I was a little bit shocked that they didn't run the ball as much.
Yeah, me too. And there was a point there, whether second or third quarter, where K9 wasn't on the field much, and it was a lot of Charbonnet. And it feels like everybody kind of has this collective, like, oh no, what's going on with K9? Every time Charbonnet comes on the field, and it's like nothing. They're trying to make sure that we have him for the entire season. Yes, there are going to be 2-3 series a game where we don't see much K9 and see a lot of Charbonnet, and you see why. He has been an effective player and a little bit better than I had hoped for. And it's exciting to see so many young players coming through. Derek Hall had a couple nice tackles as well in this game. Just the youth of this team. What Pete say they were? Like the second youngest team in the entire league. And here they sit at 5-2, top of their division, with the Niners in struggle mode.
3 straight losses, and tough to be upset about that. Rich Eisen saying, don't look now. NFC West leaders after 8 weeks. Seattle Seahawks. Seahawk Nerd on Twitter. Never a doubt.
Yeah.
Showing the win probability and the Seahawks controlling it for 2.5 quarters. Then the Browns hopping up into that positive territory and climbing toward 100% until the very end of the game after the Walker interception, and the Seahawks able to drive down and get the score. I don't like the feeling that is involved kind of in this area right here, but this is particularly fun when you get the comeback win.
You like that big down dip there right at the end?
This little this big down dip right here. That's the most fun.
Yeah. I'm sure I see a comment in here that maybe we're the most penalized team in the league right now. It's got to be, yeah, there we go. Yeah, from Daniel. I don't know if they're the most, but they got to be up there. And that's definitely something that needs to get cleaned up. This isn't the 2013 Seahawks that have that sort of margin for error game in, game out, just with raw talent. They're damn good, but they're not that team.
Seahawks atop the division there. The Niners are 2-0 within the division, but they haven't played us yet. So we got that coming up for us.
Yep, for sure. For sure. Trying to think of anything else here that really stuck out to me. I left my notes in the house. That was dumb. But it just, I guess the biggest thing is just the feeling after this, man. I didn't feel like, I don't know about you, man, but we get into the fourth quarter and I'm not sitting there thinking, I didn't feel like we were losing that game. Like I knew it was going to be tight. It was going to be close going down the stretch and going to be another, cardiac moment for the Seahawks here. But I really didn't feel like they were giving this one up. It was eerily similar to the Cincinnati game.
The feeling of the game, you mean?
No, just the way the game played out. And yeah, even in the Cincy game, the feeling too.
Well, thanks to everybody who is tuning in. I feel like with 178 people, we should try and do another giveaway. So I'm going to bring up Nightbot here, Adam. If you have any other folks in chat that you want to recognize, or any other, if you want to, I know you don't have your notes, so it's kind of a tough way to put you on the spot here.
Oh yeah, no, I thank you a ton. One of the things that I found interesting here is the Seahawks come out and they score early and often, right? A couple touchdowns right out of the gate. That now makes 5 out of their 7 games that they have scored a first quarter touchdown. This is so different than the Seahawks of the past, right? We complain constantly about all the slow starts and having to rally and come back in the second half to make it happen. And we still had to do that. But at least the offense has been consistent early. And I really do think that has made as much of a difference for the defense as it could. I mean, you start playing with a lead, especially against guys like PJ Walker and, a hurt Joe Burrow and things of that nature. It allows that defense to pin its ears back and go after the quarterback and play free and fast. And it's been a big deal, I think.
Samuel Gelber in with the $12 super chat. And you know what? I think I'm going to use that for the keyword in the giveaway, Sal. And so thanks for that, Sam. I am going to try to give away this Darrell Taylor signed card again. The person who won it last week opted for a Discord membership instead of the card because, well, he also lives overseas. So he was thinking about me and the shipping that it would take to get down to South America. So I appreciate that as well. But going to give it away this week, and we are going to use the keyword Browns flushed with an exclamation point. And go ahead and hit that in chat, and you will be entered to win this Darrell Taylor signed card. Hey, see, there he is, Nuno, in the chat, a new member of our Discord. He was our winner last week. So, yes, give folks a couple minutes to use that Browns flushed keyword in chat, and that's going to get you entered to win, and we'll roll that here in a few seconds. Just a fun win overall, especially with the comeback that way against an offense that, yes, you should have handled, but against a defense that really is one of the elite defenses in the league. And so when you think about some of those teams coming up that the Seahawks are going to face in terms of top defenses in the league, San Francisco comes to mind, even though they gave up a bunch of points to the Cincinnati Bengals, the other Ohio team. It makes you... I feel like if they can find a way to handle Myles Garrett, they can also find a way to handle Nick Bosa and some of those other defenders for the Niners.
It's a wonderful thought. I hope it's true. I'd like to say that it's true. I can't say that yet, but it does give you some confidence, even with the makeshift offensive line as it is. They are handling some of these good defensive lines. I mean, they held their own against the Lions as well. Don't forget about that D-line. They've been hot this year.
Yeah. And Sam, I'm not sure I agree. It was a fun win. It was irritating with 8 minutes left of the fourth. You have to overcome some of the irritation for it to be fun. I feel like, just based on our history.
For sure. One of the things I realized about myself this year is that for the last couple seasons, I haven't watched a ton of other games. Like, I watch a few, right? But
Sure.
I've been trying to make a conscious effort to sit down and watch lots of other teams in lots of more games this year so that maybe I could have a more balanced opinion about our team. And one thing that I noticed is that even the best teams have struggle fests uh, more often than you'd think. It's not as clean looking as you would think. The Chiefs have won ugly a lot this year, and they're a damn good football team. Up until today, tied for the best record in football, right? So I think the ups and downs of the way that this team plays isn't that abnormal as much as it feels that way maybe in the moment.
And yeah, it's going to be everybody's going to have ups and downs. No quarterback's going to be perfect. There's going to be players that struggle at times. So, completely on point with that comment. With that said, let's give away this Daryl Taylor card. I'm going to hit roll it there. Thanks to everybody who commented. And here
Totally
we
not
go.
rigged. No, this is totally not rigged. We're trusting AI here. This is going to go great.
Petrus Perkis. Pecris? That seems like it's a backwards name. I'm having trouble reading it, but hey, if that's you, send me an email, gohawks@seahawkerspodcast.com. Drop me your address and we will get this on out to you.
Absolutely, man. With this game, Brandon, and watching the Browns run the rock the way that they are you worried about the interior defensive line going forward? Or had you seen enough throughout the earlier part of the season to think, well, this is an aberration. That's the way they have to play? Meaning the Browns.
Oh,
the way they had to play. With the Browns running the rock right down our throat, right up the middle throughout the game. Does that give you concern moving forward with future opponents? Or are you looking at it more in terms of they performed very well throughout the majority of the season, and today they just came up against a team that has a good offensive line and they had to play a certain way to have a chance to win, and that was running the hell out of the rock?
Yeah, and John puts it another way. Why did the run D look so soft? I think it's a combination of the Browns offensive line. We talked about it, I think, going into the game, that their center and guard combinations are really strong. So if that's where they're going to have the success, it was going to be running behind those guys.
Right.
And, I don't think there has been a team that really tested the interior quite this strongly. And so I think it's partly that. And, with Nuoso being out, that doesn't help. But I think it's a combination of the two. I don't know if there's going to be another team that's going to be able to have that kind of success on the interior, but they've given other teams, I think, a blueprint of things to test.
Yeah, and to Sam's comment here, one of those things to test is going to be a lot of screens. When you're watching football next weekend and you're watching the Seahawks, expect to see a bunch of screens. Like, it is on tape now. It's been on tape for years, really, but This was the first game that they really did just exploit the hell out of that. And yeah, that kind of was the one element of their passing game that they could rely on to soften up the defense against the run. But you would think if that's what they're doing, you would just play up with everybody. And I didn't pay attention to how many single safety looks they were in, but it seems like Jamal was down in the box a lot. So maybe they were playing up.
Yeah, you didn't see Jamal, though, really in the backfield a lot or putting that kind of pressure on him. So, yeah, defensively, it's going to be an interesting one to go out, to go back and watch. We didn't even bring up Trey Brown's name. He had an impactful game on the outside with some pass breakups. Kimchi with a $4.99 super chat saying, I didn't get to watch the game, but I'm glad they got the win. Go Hawks. Kimchi, thanks for hopping in here, even though you didn't watch the game.
Yeah, man. You're going to enjoy going back and watching that one. It's fun knowing that you win at the end. That is for sure. Another thing that I wanted to give some praise for here was Bobby Wagner in coverage today. Like, he was all over the field against the run, no doubt about it. A zillion tackles, all that stuff. But how many times did he get matched up on a receiver and really hold his own? I thought that was impressive. That was the thing that we were all mad about just before he left town for that year to go wherever it was that he went,
Yeah. He had a couple pass breakups too. One of them was on Cooper, even, who settled down in the middle. So that was impressive to see. Anonymous coming in saying the Browns are the #1 rush offense in the league. Relax. In terms of yards, they probably are. And I think when you go back and probably average out the yards per carry, they probably held the Browns at least around 4 yards per carry. Screens, it probably goes up a little bit over that. But yeah, when you combine in with the screens was probably the more annoying thing, right?
Oh man, especially that middle screen to Njoku, man. Like, I want to see that play ran by the Seahawks a bunch next week. I mean, if we can't run them to the outside very effectively, let's try that one. I mean, we've got the tight ends to do it.
Jay Smith with Darrell Taylor playing run defense. I fear the Ravens are going to try and run the read option over and over again for massive yards. And the bummer thing was seeing, the Derek Hall in there and also whiffing on one of those read options. It's going to be a significantly different quarterback running the ball against the Ravens next Sunday.
Whew, yeah, buckle up, man. Because Lamar, last time I remember seeing Lamar, he ran all over the Seahawks, man. It was a tough day. I see Garen here's got a comment. Yeah, I like this one. Yeah. Oop, I took it away on you. Yeah. This an Ethan Posick revenge game to a degree?
It may have been. Yeah, they've been awfully good in the run game, especially up the middle. So yes, if you are new here, please give us a like, subscribe to the show. We've got more shows coming on throughout the week. We've got 3 in, 3 out coming up, where we're going to get into some of the nooks and crannies with Clinton Bonner hopping in here. He's been hanging out in chat. And Scoots Ticks asking, why do we even have tight ends? Seems like the game plan is just force the ball to DK. I would say normally you probably want to get them more involved in the pass. I think we called going into this game that we wanted to have more tight ends to protect Geno, and even still with them getting the ball out quickly. It was kind of a good mix, I think, with keeping him in to block and also getting rid of the ball quickly. So
they were chipping a lot with the tight ends. And then we did see them run the 2 tight end set there in the backfield, and it got snuffed out in a hurry. They had watched the tape on that one.
And it's hard to argue with the forcing the ball to DK comment when he gets 14 targets. So, and a lot of those, I feel like were more I don't think that there were too many balls that were thrown at DK where I said that he should have caught him. There were either contested balls or, I can't think of a DK drop in this game.
No, not an egregious one by any stretch. No, definitely not there. But yeah, it does feel like they made a concerted effort to get him involved. And, maybe that's why they start going to him later in the game, is that Tyler Lockett was having such a huge first quarter and, going into the second there, that the Browns were starting to rotate coverage a little bit. And so Geno thought, well, okay, then we're going to DK more.
Yeah. And Garen saying the problem was trying to force balls to him. I think we have to distinguish between forcing the ball to DK versus dropping back and that being the first read and it being intentional of really trying to throw on the first read with this defensive line and this pass rush.
Yeah, I think that's probably true. It didn't feel like a lot of those balls at DK were out of the flow of the offense. It's not like there was an obvious other place to go with the football. And to your point, Brandon, the idea of having to get it out quickly is paramount right now with the offensive line as banged up as it is. And I've heard, or I saw a few people in the chat during the Discord there during the game that Geno was staring down receivers, and it has been like all season. It's like, well, is it really staring down a receiver when you take the snap, you look one way and throw the football because you got to get it out quickly? Because I'm not sure that is. He doesn't have time to go through reads.
Yeah, that part doesn't really count as much. MG in the chat, has DJ lost his return job even though he was doing so well? The place where DJ was doing particularly well, I think, is also in the punt return game. He may have lost it to, or they're just at least trying to try out Eskridge in this game, maybe ahead of the trade deadline, maybe a smart play trying to get him out there a little bit, coming back off of his suspension. So see, yeah, we got Hugh in chat saying trade Eskridge. Maybe that was part of the point. We'll see.
For what?
I don't know, something.
Who's trading for Eskridge? I don't think there's much of a market, that's for sure.
No, well, you never know. There might be a team out there willing to give up a late round draft pick, and obviously the Seahawks are pretty deep at wide receiver right now. So if I were going to pick a wide receiver to trade, that would be the candidate for me. Garen coming back saying, interesting to see on the all-22 if he had to get the ball out fast when he was trying to force it to DK once, okay, twice, or third. Yeah. You'd have to go back and really study that for sure. Again, I think a real big part of this game plan, it just was obvious to me watching the game that they were trying to drop back quick, get rid of not drop back quick, but trying to drop back, get rid of the ball quickly. And that way to not have so many plays where Geno was trying to escape and try and outrun Myles Garrett. And really it was all about neutralizing Myles Garrett.
Absolutely. And Zadarius Smith and, the whole bevy of pass rushers that they have. And I think you could have helped yourself a bit more in running the football more. I don't think Shane Waldron gets out of this game really the last couple games without some criticism. It seems as if his scripted first 15 plays or something like that works really well, and then has a hard time finding a flow for the offense later on in the game.
It does. We have seen some of those lulls or where they get rid or they can kind of get off the plan as far as running it. Gornish Slick, what a great comeback win. I was on the edge of my seat, and yes, we were all on the edge of our seat as the Seahawks got the 24-20 victory over the Browns. The Browns fall to 4-3. The Seahawks move up to 5-2. And coming up, it's going to be another big test against the Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah, it was kind of a tough draw getting the AFC North this year as your outer division opponents, and because they're all pretty darn good teams short of the Steelers. And this Baltimore team presents a lot of challenges. Lamar is a unique guy. There's no doubt about that. And I think his record against the NFC is off the hook too, because you just don't see guys like that on the regular.
But it'll be another fun test coming up next week. But hey, until then, let us enjoy this victory over the Browns. Let's enjoy being atop the NFC West. Adam, what a great week, because not just the Niners go down, the Rams go down, the Arizona Cardinals go down. It's another perfect weekend.
Another perfect weekend. And it was awesome to share that with you guys here. And I think with that,
there's only one thing left to say.
Go Hawks.
Go Hawks.
Got the throwbacks are sick.